Welcome to California. This is a great show here in Pomona, and I'm really proud to have been part of it by putting on a display. This is actually the first time that I've ever done a display at a show. I've always admired other people's displays, but this time I was honored to be asked to do a display, and I have chosen to do a display of my historical flasks that are all of George Washington. I've been collecting seriously these historical flasks for approximately 25 years. And these bottles on this particular shelf are all made in Philadelphia area, and they're known as Washington Taylor flasks because the front of the flask has a portrait of George Washington, and the other side, the back side of the flask, has a portrait of Zachary Taylor. These were all manufactured about the time of Zachary Taylor's run for president, which was in 1848. He died in office after only 1 year, but these flasks are a memory for him and his run for the presidency. The first flask on your left is a golden yellow color, and in sunlight this bottle actually even glows more than it does in backlit as it is now. Next to it, to its right, is a flask that we call a puce color, and it has swirls in the glass that make it especially interesting. Then again to the right of it is an emerald green flask, and as we move to the right we go back to a golden yellow, again in a quart. Then there's a cobalt blue, and finally rounding up this is a flask that is more of a brown amberish color that is absolutely hammered with tiny little bubbles. It's somewhat difficult to see in this presentation, but when held up to the light, it's a very interesting flask. The collection that I have put together here is as many colors as I could come up with, and although aqua, as the bottle is on the left, is a common color, I felt I had to at least include one aqua in this grouping. Next to it is a deep emerald green flask that is a companion flask to the one on the left, as they both say General Z. Taylor on the back side, but again the front side are all Washington. These two flasks that you see now, both blue, the left one we call either steel blue or sometimes referred to as Prussian blue. I put these two flasks together because the one on the right, which is a calabash, is actually cobalt blue, and I wanted to show the difference in the two colors of blue, which are quite striking. The next flask was made in Upper State, New York. We call this citron, sometimes it's called yellow green, and this particular bottle is marked Lockport Glassworks. Then moving further to the right is an Albany Glassworks, also of course in the New York area, and this has a ship on the back side. Albany Glassworks is a glassworks that we haven't actually identified its exact location, but it's marked Albany, so we know the approximate area that the bottle was made. And the last flask on this row is a flask that was made in Baltimore, and it is what we call amethyst colored. Some people just call it pink. It's a very light color and very attractive. These two flasks on the left are Baltimore area bottles. We've determined from digging at old sites that these bottles were made in the Baltimore area. The one on the left is a medium green. We moved back to another amethyst or pink bottle. The pink one actually came out of the Pollard sale, which was conducted about 10 years ago. At the time, he had the largest collection of flasks made in the Baltimore area, and it was quite a wonderful collection. It became a live auction, and it was very well attended by all the great collectors who wanted just to own a piece or two out of his collection. The two smaller pint flasks in the middle are returning back to the Washington Taylor variety. These are two very rare colors for Washington Taylor flasks, and I'm very proud to own them. Moving back to the right again, we return to quart flasks, which are from made in Baltimore. The one on the left is a puce color, and it was again another bottle out of the famous collection of Bill Pollard. And the one on the right is an emerald green flask that it matches the first one on this row that we just looked at, but this is a little different color. This first flask on the left is from the Bridgeton Glass Works, and it has a Zachary Taylor on the back side and Washington on the front. Now, Bridgeton was a New Jersey manufacturer, and in an olive amber color is an unusual color for this particular flask. The one just next to it in a medium green was another Bill Pollard flask. This one is made in Baltimore and has the what's known as the Washington Monument in downtown Baltimore portrayed on the other side. Again, next to it is a sapphire blue Baltimore bottle with, of course, Washington identified on the front side, the Washington Monument on the rear side. And of the flasks that I have brought on display here, this flask is probably the most expensive flask in this particular collection. And then moving to the little half pint, we return to an Albany Glassworks bottle. This is much rarer in the half pint than the bottle I described earlier, which is a pint size. But what's especially interesting about this flask is it's not aqua, it's yellow-green. Not only is the bottle rare, but seeing it in a color is very unusual. Probably one of the most historic flasks in this particular grouping is the green flask next, which is a pint flask, sometimes referred to as the firecracker, because along the edges of the bottle it says Adams and Jefferson, July 4th, 1776. This bottle was manufactured in 1826. We know that because on July 4th of that year, Adams and Jefferson both died on the date July 4th, which was exactly 50 years from the date in which both of these gentlemen and former presidents signed the Declaration of Independence. Moving to the next bottle, is another Baltimore bottle, this time in a yellowy color, rather hard to describe, but again a Bill Pollard bottle. The last bottle in this display on the right is from the Pittsburgh area. Those who collect these know of it as a Group 1 number 7, and the manufacturer got his initials on the back side. And this rounds out the collection that I brought here, and I'm very proud to have had the opportunity to share it with everyone here at the show.